Welcome. I'm Gajendra Lianarachi from a4study.com. The purpose of this video is to explain the key issues that can be tested in CIMA strategic level case study in August 2017. The company is AutoAuto. This company provides disruptive technology for vehicles. Let's see what disruptive technology is about. This is any technology which disturbs the relationship between the driver and the vehicle. That means very simply the vehicle is controlled by a computer and takes over and does the job of a driver, and the driver becomes a passenger. The car will drive on its own, look at the navigation, park on its own, slow down on its own, and tell you where to go, when to get the fuel, and when to stop the car. Let's look at the 20 key issues that can be tested this time. Issue number one, mission and objective. Well, this company was formed 15 years ago by three engineers. Well, they developed the mission at that time to introduce the driverless concept or to make vehicles drive themselves. That's their mission. However, now it is outdated because already there are vehicles which drive themselves. So we need to change that. The questions will test the appropriateness of the mission, whether it's too narrow or whether it's too broad. Obviously, it's too narrow because we have plenty of other products, such as Truck Guard, which has nothing to do with the driverless concept. It helps the large vehicles to look at the road, cyclists, things like that. So the mission at the moment it's too narrow. They will test that, and also it's a possibility of testing objectives. The examiner can give you objectives, asking it to relate to this mission or asking how to change the mission. Remember, we became a listed company 5 years ago, so new thinking should come into place, and this will provide a new direction to the company. So that's issue number one. Issue number two is target market. Target market demonstrate nature of the customers or consumers. For this company, we mainly focus on B2B. What is that? Business to business. That means we mainly focus on vehicle manufacturers, and we only have two segments of revenue. One is OEM, that is original equipment manufacturing, where we get involved in manufacturing the entire system, maybe satellite navigation, maybe cruise control. So we get involved throughout in that. Then the other one is licensing, where somebody else manufacture on behalf of us. So the questions can be tested on number one, is it adequate? Do we need other types of products, such as maybe aftermarket, looking at the end consumer? We do not focus on retail market. So the questions can test you on the appropriateness of the target market. Do we get enough revenue? Maybe problems of licensing, maybe problems of original equipment manufacturing, and then how to enter the aftermarket, that the retail. So that's issue number two. Issue number three is about products. Well, sadly, we only have four products at the moment: Smart Nav, Cruise Control, Park Space, and Truck Guard. So the questions can be tested on the weightage of these products. The examiner clearly told us that Smart Nav is the main product. So probably they might test BCG, and this will be a cash cow. Then we might be asked to look at, are we maintaining the other products, whether they are a problem child, or how to improve this product portfolio. Clearly, Smart Nav, which is a cash cow, might become a dog in the future. So we might run out with options. Or the questions might ask too much dependence on Smart Nav or any other product, and how to look at the future to minimize the risk of over dependence. Issue number four is new product development. Again, we are a little bit weak in that because we only have two products in the pipeline. What are those two products? The first one is the driverless concept. We have invested heavily on that, and the testing will take place in September. Definitely, they will give you questions on the problems of testing and issues and problems with dealing with the government, because the government has given us a specific path to test the driverless concept. So that is the first new product. The second one is a fully autonomous car. We expect these to come up in 2020. That means we don't have a new product in the next 3 years. So that's a big problem. They might test that, possibly connected with the balance scorecard, why we lack innovation, which is a big problem. So they will test this in detail. Issue number 5 is subcontracting. Now this is a very important issue because we don't have any factories, we don't manufacture anything. We depend on subcontractors and suppliers. Questions will talk about the risk, dependency, quality, supervision, auditing, and also delays, and also distribution, stakeholder management, Mandela matrix, and possibly how to reduce the risk of overdependence. Maybe there may be a question asking, can't we manufacture? Not everything, maybe 10%, or maybe a small element, maybe the touch screen only in the smart nav product, maybe. So look at these options. Issue number 6. This will be tested definitely. That is corporate governance. Issue number 6 is corporate governance. Why? Because we have 7 executive directors and only 2 non-executive directors. One non-executive director is from a legal background and the other person is from media. Clearly inadequate because you need to look at finance, you need to look at HR, you need to look at IT because we are into technology. So clearly the P3 elements of non-executive directors, the proportion, clearly, it is recommended to have a balance of non-executive directors and executive directors. There can be a question on internal control connected with that, and also possibility of establishing an audit committee. So you know, if you need an audit committee, you need more non-executive directors because the audit committee has to report to them. So clearly, we need to improve on that. So be prepared for this question. Issue number 7 is risk management. There's a high possibility this will be tested because we are given 5 risks. So the examiner has given us the risk and also given us what are the scope of the risk. That means the depth of the risk. For example, competition risk, the examiner has told us it focuses on the loss of the customer. But the questions will test clearly on risk ranking because the case study has only given us 5 risks. They haven't given us the importance, which risk is more important, what is the weightage, and also the tolerance limit. This was tested in May. What is the tolerance limit? The relationship between the gross risk and the net risk. And also the examiner can test you asking for a dynamic company like this, which is in the computer industry and also connected with the vehicle industry, highly dynamic. These industries change every minute. Why we only have 5 risks? Maybe there is a requirement to look at more risks than 5, which is an issue. So this can be tested in that situation. Be prepared for that to introduce new risks and also to rank the current risks based on a likelihood and the impact, and also to discuss the tolerance limit. Then issue number 8 is structure. Well, we have a functional structure which is inadequate and also creates complexity and bureaucracy because new product development is the key. This industry is driven by innovation. Every single day, you see a video, you see a news article about the next generation of cars, either driving on its own, checking the road on its own. So clearly, this functional structure comes down based on the specialized areas, inadequate because we need to develop new products. We need to be focused on the market. So the examiner can test the limitations of the functional structure and how to overcome them. Definitely, you need to recommend a divisional structure, probably divisionalization by products, and also connected with a matrix. You can use nicely the functions at the top and new products this way so that each new product will have more attention on the market. Refer the notes on the matrix structure and don't forget to look at the advantages and the disadvantages of matrix. Issue number 9 is legal issues. It will be tested because there's a big problem based on this industry, especially if there's an accident, a car driving on its own, or a self-drive car with the driver in the car, but the car takes over. If there's accident, who is responsible? Is it the driver who allows the car to drive on its own? Is it the driver? Or Is it the computer software manufacturer or the device manufacturer like AutoAuto? Or is the car manufacturer like Toyota or Tesla is responsible for that? So this is an open area. Please remember this will be connected with stakeholders, and please remember to look at a broader view when answering this question, because even the question says legally AutoAuto is not responsible. We are not affected legally. There's an accident or there's a death, a person driving the car using our technology, but still we are not liable. If the question says that, still please remember, even though we are not liable, we are responsible for a larger customer base. Our reputation is very important. Our core competence is very important. So do not stop at the legal responsibility. Look at the bigger picture. Mandela matrix will be tested with this. Be careful with that. So legal issue will have a broader scope than the legal element about brand name, about reputation, and about your future. We are responsible, even though legally we are not, as a whole. Keep that in your mind. Right. Issue number 10 is management accounting. We have given us 3 months accounts for the last quarter talking about management accounts. Well, there are key issues in that. That is 90% of revenue we generate from original equipment manufacturing, and 10% of the revenue we generate from licensing. Now, this is the catch. Which one is better? Correct. Licensing is better. Why is that? Because we just give the idea and they do all the hard work, we get profit. So our cost is very limited, or maybe we don't have. We only need to develop a system to integrate with a manufacturer who manufacture on our behalf. We only need to do effective marketing, identify new players who can manufacture on behalf of our organization, and move forward. So the management accounting question can test about the revenue balance and the revenue mix. And also a problem with management accounting, if you look at the numbers, you see the fixed salaries. The marketing people have also paid fixed salary. You know, marketing is a dynamic industry. You cannot pay fixed salary for marketing, then they go to sleep. You need to wake them up. Of course, you can have a balance with the fixed salary element, and the other part has to be connected with the commission. So be prepared to evaluate the performance appraisal with management accounting, the costing systems, obviously, maybe a little bit of activity based costing connected with analyzing the cost drivers based on original equipment manufacturing and based on licensing. Remember, we need to improve the licensing revenue, and that's the key. Issue number 11 is share price. You know, our share price has come down slightly. Our performance is not good, so they can test on strategies, how to improve the share price, what are the methods of improving the share price, and possibly a little bit of discussion on dividend policy connected with the share price. There's no record of the dividends, surprising, because the company was listed 5 years ago. It's high time to pay a dividend, so this can be connected with the share price. The examiner can give you fresh data. Be prepared to compare our share price with the share price of a similar company like Premnap. They might test on that. Be prepared to talk about improving the share price, why the reasons for reduction in share price, and dividend decisions on this. Issue number 12 is competition. We are given a lot of information about competition. Remember, the examiner says there's very little competition here. So let's see the competitors. PrimeNav is a very large competitor, 2.5 times larger than us. That means they have more scope and more power. Then another important competitor is Roboca. A full document page is given on Roboca, how innovative they are. They are ahead of us. They have given us information regarding their new satellite system, underground cables, and they have got a contract worth for 12 million. So that's a big amount. So the questions can test about competitor analysis, competitor benchmarking, how to conduct competitor benchmarking, and also ranking our products with the competitor's product. BCG can be tested on this. Relative market share. Be prepared to learn from competition, because I feel that we are a little bit lagging behind because we are not that aggressive in terms of competition. Be prepared to benchmark, especially on new product development on Robocar. Next issue, issue number 13, is CSR. Well, CSR is a very important issue because we allow the car to drive on its own on busy roads, and it's a complex system, isn't it? There can be accidents, there can be errors. You're trusting computers for to do everything. There can be a problem. There can be inaccurate data or system failure. So any issue, any accident, any problem to a passenger or a human being or to the general system affects our corporate social responsibility. They can test questions on ethics on this clearly, which is very important, and also disposing of waste, and also this computer waste, what will happen to this after the use. So CSR can be tested, go through the ethical guidelines, and please remember Mandelo can be tested with this because simple fact, we cannot wash our hands saying we tested it, it's your responsibility. Now we allow the car to drive on its own and it's on the road and it affects the lives of people. Issue number 14 is financial management. This will be tested because our revenue dropped to by 7.4% this year. Our profit reduced by 19%. Clearly, this is a problem because the competitor Prime Nav's profit went up by 7% and revenue went up by 8%. So that is a problem. Why? Because our profit has come down and also our revenue has come down. 19% is a significant amount, and we might expect radical changes. Most importantly, our operating expenditure has increased by 22%. It's a significant problem. And another issue with finance is that we have reduced our research and development by 7.4, whereas PrimeNav had increased it by 22%. So what's the problem? We look like we are short term. It looks like we are a little bit scared about the expenditure, and our operating expenditure has been out of control. So we prepared to be tested on methods to reduce cost, uh, bal- things like balance scorecard, business process reengineering, ratio analysis, and also compare cost structure with a competitor. Be prepared for that, which is very important. A cash flow question can come, not a detailed cash flow, whether we have adequate cash flow to invest in a future project. A discussion on new product development can be connected with financial management. Be prepared for that. The next question is very important. Leadership, this will be tested. Why is that? Because this company was founded by three engineers. Is there a problem? No, there's no problem. But the issue is that it is listed 5 years ago and still these three guys are running the show. And that is a problem. Engineers are very intelligent people, but they are not the best in running the business. Remember, some people have the ability to start business. They're brilliant on that, but they don't have ability to move it forward. But there are some people who do not possess the entrepreneurial ability to start a business, but they have a tremendous ability to move it forward. They are the top executives. So now we need change, especially when the share price is slightly down, when the profit is down by 19%, and the same founder owners who own only 25% at the moment. Remember that running the show as CEO, Director Engineering, and Director Research Development. You might see CEO stepping down here. You might get a question on annual general meeting, maybe a majority shareholder who might come up who has more than 51%, or a conglomerate which owns more than 51% and creating a problem and CEO stepping down. Be prepared for that because they haven't introduced change, and I can't see the present management introducing any change. Next question. Uh, Issue number 16 is mergers and acquisitions. Clearly, they can test a question on acquisition because our profit has clearly come down, our revenue is down. I can't see any new developments because we only have four products. Only two are new product development in the pipeline. So be prepared to acquire a supplier or a subcontractor or a small company, just start up with a tremendous new product, maybe digital window screen for the cars, maybe something like that. We don't have that knowledge or entrepreneurship. We might buy a small company. Be prepared to discuss that. Culture will be an issue in its acquisition, and be prepared to discuss post acquisition value enhancement strategy. That means how to connect the two companies. Keep that in your mind. Next issue number 17, is product costing. We are given a detailed product cost based on SmartNav product. The cost is $162. So they might test this, especially one element. What's that? Yes, touchscreen. Touchscreen cost contribute to 40% of the cost of SmartNav product. So there can be a question on replacing touchscreen existing supplier from a new supplier, or manufacturing touchscreen, or we try to buy a company which supplies similar devices. You might get another set of cost classification from another supplier. Compare this and how to change. Remember, don't change suppliers without discussing the issue of quality, and check the contract with them as well. So there will be a revised cost structure. Be prepared to face that and go through these numbers and try to remember them. The key areas like a touchscreen cost 40% of the total cost, things like that. Issue number 18 is research and development. This is a big problem. How many research staff do we have? Very good. 250 research staff. Examiner gives us a lot of hints. Examiner says they need a workstation. They're in a metropolitan area in the city. That means the examiner is telling us, look here, mate, this is a burden to me. Do something. Yes. They will test you on questions. Performance appraisal of research staff. Why our R&D is not commercially viable. Why do I say that? Because we only have 4 products, we only have 2 in the pipeline, and the latest we can introduce a new product is 2020. That's too late in this dynamic industry. Things change every minute. So they will ask you to critically evaluate the contribution of the research and development staff and how to move forward. And also, don't be surprised if you see a small crisis where some research staff leaving the company. A question on resistance to change can be tested. Remember Kurt Lewin, force field analysis, 3-stage model can be tested with that. You might be asked to develop a performance appraisal system for research and development staff to make it more commercially viable. Issue number 19 clearly is human resource development or human resource management. This is a problem. Why? Our current structure do not have an HR department or an HR director. Big problem, isn't it? Of course. We don't even have IT director, but that's fine. HR is a big problem. How are you going to manage all these engineers who are very smart, very intelligent? Don't think about the market. That's right. Common sense is very important to do business. So we need an HR director, we need HR department, and they will test this with structure, how to establish the HR department, what are the problems, what are the advantages, and most importantly, who is responsible for that. Be prepared for that area. Issue number 20. This will come. Okay, be prepared for this. Very important. Hostile takeover. Hostile takeover. You might be tested. Who is going to do the hostile takeover? Not us. Somebody is going to buy us. Yes, who is that? Correct. Prime now will buy us. Why? Look at the data carefully. Prime now balance sheet. Well, they are 2.5 times greater than us in terms of turnover. Last year, their intellectual capital went up, and also they issued 50 million new shares. Share capital and premium increased by 50 million. Okay, and if you closely see, their goodwill has increased by 100 million. What does it say? Let me summarize this area here. Goodwill has increased, that means they have acquired a company. Intellectual capital has increased, that means they have acquired a company with a patent, very, very important. That then their share capital has increased by 50 million. That means their growth is based on acquisition. And why have the examiner given us data about another company? Very simple. They are going to buy us. So be prepared for questions. How to overcome a hostile takeover, how to develop strategy to overcome hostile takeover, advantage, disadvantage of merger, how to bounce back, because you might get a reference material saying a press conference, prime nav directors saying that our directors are losing value to the shareholders. You might ask to counter attack on that. Be prepared for that. So these are the 20 key issues. Get connected with me if you need any support. Get connected with a4study.com. Good luck for your future studies.